There's some more aspects to Jesus than what we've even looked at so far. Jesus didn't just live and die and rise again. He also returned to heaven. And he is there today. He's alive today. And that's something which I think often we understand, but we've not necessarily unpacked to realise the significance of what it means for us today. You know, what do we learn from Jesus being ascended to heaven? I hear you say. You talk about Jesus' resurrection being physical and a physical body being resurrected, and then a physical body ascending into the clouds and disappearing from their sight. If it's physical, why can't we see it today? I think the reality is that there is an unseen spiritual world all around us that because of our humanity we can't always see. Sometimes we see the effects of that, and we see a world that's really interested in supernatural things, that believes in supernatural things. You know, we see all sorts of things on TV that we might shudder at as Christians and go, that's really unhealthy. But it shows that there is this interest within people into things unseen. We see Elisha having a conversation with his servant when his servant is scared because the Assyrian army has completely surrounded the city. Elisha prays and God opens up the eyes of the servant to suddenly see all these unseen spiritual forces around, that actually those who are with us are greater than those who are attacking us. And in Acts chapter 7, when Stephen is being martyred, we see his eyes being opened and he says, I see heaven being opened. And Jesus promises in John chapter 14 to go and prepare a place for us and then come back to take us to be with him. These experiences, they show us that there is an unseen world that our eyes are not attuned to, but an unseen spiritual world that nonetheless is a physical world. And when God opens up the eyes of Elisha's servant or Stephen as he's being martyred, the experience is that they get a glimpse into that eternal place. But yes, I think we often think as heaven being up there and hell being down there. And that's probably based on a few different sort of biblical accounts. Think of Jacob's ladder, where Jacob has this picture of the angels descending and ascending from heaven to earth, where heaven is above. But also we see when Elijah is taken away, Elisha sees him taken away in a chariot, and that chariot goes up into the heavens. The truth is, we don't fully know what heaven will be like. But what we do know is that heaven is a real place. One of the things that often disturbs me is that we live in a world that wants to create God in our own image. And people don't want to have a relationship with God today. They can't be bothered to have a relationship with God today, or they don't want to have a relationship with God today. Yet when something tragic happens and people die, time and time again, we see people creating heaven in their own image. You know, I've heard the tragedy of children who've died, and I remember listening to the news of them talking of one little lad from Liverpool who he's playing football in heaven now with the Everton football team. Or we hear people talking about that sense of, oh yeah, they'll be playing their harp on a cloud in heaven. People want something to cling on to when they're hurting. They want hope of eternity. But they want to create heaven in their own image. And for us as Christians, we can be sure that Jesus ascended to a real place. Heaven is a real place, and having an understanding of that reality, that it's a physical place, it's not somewhere intangible, but there is a promise of a new heaven and a new earth that is going to be created for us to live in. We have something tangible to offer to people, and Jesus' ascension to heaven gives us that assurance that Jesus went to a real place, and he went there to prepare a place for you and for me. We have an eternal hope that is something we can offer to a hurting world.